at the beginning. The regular meeting of the City of Ojai Historic Preservation Commission will be called to order Thursday, September 9th, 2021, 5 p.m. as an in-person and virtual. James, turn them. Yeah, turn your mic on. Okay, should I start over? Are we okay, James? Okay. As an in-person and virtual meeting, with the meeting being broadcast via teleconference into the council chambers. Members of the public wishing to address the Historic Preservation Commission on items appearing on the agenda are requested to complete a speaker's card, if in person, and file it with the secretary. Cards are available in the lobby. Speakers should state their name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Thank you all. Flip page. Roll call, please.
Chair Akins?
Here.
Commissioner Convery?
Here.
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner McCatton?
Here.
Commissioner Prebor? Oh, she's just logging in.
Good timing.
Commissioner Prebor? Oh, I can't see that part. Commissioner Prebor, can you hear it?
Yes,
me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we're
I can
taking
hear
the
you.
roll.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, so everybody's here. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand with me and face the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Hand over your hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag
to the States of America. and
United
to the
States of
republic
America.
For which it stands, one nation,
Republic,
under God,
one nation,
indivisible, with liberty and
the
justice.
and justice for all.
Thank you all. At this time, we will turn the time over to our liaison, which is Cheryl, for the next few minutes.
Yes, thank you. Now we are doing the selection of the new Historic Preservation Commission Chair and Vice Chair. At this time, I will be assisting in the procedure. So what I'd like to do is ask for nominations for chairperson of the Historic Preservation Commission.
I'd like to nominate Brian again.
I would like to second that.
Who seconded? Was that
Gina,
Oh,
yes.
thank you.
Okay, are there any other nominations for chair? The nomination for chair is closed, and Chair Akins is chair of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Yay.
I think we still need to take it to a vote.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
roll
Do
call
a roll
vote.
call.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Roll call vote.
I gotta feel some appreciation for doing this again. Support.
Chair Akins,
Yes.
Commissioner Convery,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner McCatton,
Yes.
Commissioner Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and thank you all for your support. It's going to be another great year and starting off interesting. Okay, it actually says in the fine points that we don't need a second. A second is only meant to show support. So, something new. So at this time, then, we would like to open the nominations for vice chair. Do we have a nomination?
Cindy Convery.
Wow.
Cindy, are you interested?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, do
okay.
I have to say that? I thought you had to second it and do all that stuff.
Well, thought we'd ask.
Yes, I'm interested.
I know Gina McCatton is also interested or has expressed interest, and so I will put Gina's name forth as well.
Yeah, Gina, if you want to do it, I'll recuse.
No, that, if you want to do it, I'll recuse.
Let's flip a coin. We should just, yeah, rock, paper, scissors.
How about, I mean, I have the ad hoc. How about, and you have, you've been there a lot longer. So why don't you do this?
Okay, thanks.
Works for me.
Yeah, we have a good commission.
Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconds are issued. I heard Valerie's voice in there as the second, so. Are there any other nominations? Okay, we will close the nominations, and I think the remaining candidate is Cindy Combry. Is that correct? So all of those in favor of support for Cindy Combry as the vice chair, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
Do you need a vote? Do you want to vote, Cheryl? Call the vote? Okay, Cheryl's going to call the vote, just to make sure.
Thank you.
Express your support vocally.
Chair Eakins,
Yes.
Commissioner Convery,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner McHatton,
Yes.
Commissioner Prevoir.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Proven over time that we work very well together, I think. Okay, so we are then going back to, flipping the page back to the agenda. Public communications. Public communications submitted by email will be provided to the Historic Preservation Commission at this time. I think we've already received those. Is that correct, Cheryl? Okay. So the only public comments that we see in the audience are for specific items that we'll be talking about.
Yes, we actually have representatives for the items on the agenda.
Excellent, thank you. Matters raised at this time may be briefly discussed by the commission and will generally be referred to staff and/or placed on a subsequent agenda. Under state law, other than emergency items, no action can be taken at this meeting. Okay, museum representative report. I talked to Executive Director Wendy Barker. We do have a new exhibit out with OSA called Finding Light. It is both available for in-person viewing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday from 1 to 7, Saturday from 10 to 4, and Sunday to 10 to 4. Also, it is available for viewing online. So that's a new addition. The museum will be helping out in a booth at the music festival that's upcoming this, is it this month?
Yeah, it's next
Yes.
weekend.
Next week.
There it is. And also, they will have, they'll be there at the, have a booth for Ojai Day. They have a big exhibit that they're preparing that's coming up and going to open in December with the close of the OSA exhibit. It is called, just got a new name yesterday morning, called Ojai Warming, Flora and Fauna in the Age of Climate Change. So that's a big exhibit that they have upcoming. Okay, consent items. Minutes of the August 12th, 2021 regular meeting. Were there any changes that anyone found?
I didn't find anything.
Anybody up on the screen there? No?
Don't see any so far.
Okay. Okay, then do we have a
Sure.
motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Okay, Valerie?
Yeah. I'll second.
And second by Cindy. Do you want to do a call, or can we do a raise your hand?
Raise your hand.
Roll call. Okay.
Approve, approve.
Okay.
Chair
Please.
Eakins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
and Prevoir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you all. Next item on the agenda is disclosure of site visits and ex parte contacts. Do we have anything on the agenda that would require that, Lucas?
Aside from, there's no public hearings tonight, so it's not necessarily.
11:05,
It's not
but we
necess-
already went to that.
It's not, yeah, it's not necessary at this meeting. It's
Okay.
just put on there as a placeholder.
Yes, yes, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, a discussion item. Item number 3, the Annual Historic Preservation Award. Did I
Sorry
never
about that.
So we talked about this last time. We came up with several items, and support for those items have been submitted. Not sure if we're going to be able to live up to Cindy's presentation on Alan Raines in the future. Kind of a bar too high, but it was wonderful.
Thanks.
Having done an oral history interview with him, check that box.
You did?
We did.
Oh,
He was,
good.
when
Yeah.
the museum started doing oral history interviews back in 2012,
Yeah.
he was the first person we went to. And so it was fun reliving some of those moments and new items that he didn't mention or in 2012. So thank you,
Cool.
Cindy. Okay, let me jump over to item number 3. Okay, item number 3, staff report, Lucas?
Yeah, so what we have is a review of the candidates for the 2021 Annual Historic Preservation Award. And then really kind of what we're looking at here is there have been bios that have been submitted. Vice Chair Convery provided bios for Claire Hill as well as Alan Raines. And then, let's see, who else? And then Chair Akins, I think you provided information for Dwayne Bauer and Cricket Twitchell
Correct.
as well. And then we received an email from Elise DePoit asking that she not be considered.
Correct.
So McHatton, assuming that we're not moving forward this year, Commissioner McHatton is off the hook. We haven't received anything from Commissioner Prebor regarding the rebuild of the Ojai Valley School upper campus at this point. And I'm not sure if Commissioner Prebor could speak to that, that would be helpful in terms of us understanding where that stands. But really what we're looking for here is a discussion looking at the criteria, and then depending on where that develops, a draft resolution will be coming back to this commission with said nominees by this commission.
Excellent, great, thank you. Before we go on to the individual people, I just wanted to go to the bottom of page 1 of 2, just before it lists the 7 different items. It says the award may be granted in a broad range of heritage preservation activities, including but not limited to. So when you're trying to pigeonhole somebody into a specific number,
Yeah.
just realize that's not a hard requirement. Okay, so I'd like to then go down the list, and keep in mind again that we have 2 categories of award. One is an annual award for historic preservation, and the other is a lifetime award for annual presentation. And we have a couple people in each category. First off, I'd just like to start Commissioner Prebor.
Yes. I communicated with Sherry just not too long ago, but I think comparing the rebuild with all of the people that you guys have nominated, it just didn't seem to fit in.
Agree.
Okay,
It just didn't seem the right time to have, if we were doing other structures, it seemed to fit in, but everyone is focused on a person and their personal achievements, and the rebuild just didn't seem to fit into that.
okay, great. Any other comments on that item? Then we'll withdraw that nomination at this time. Okay, so Commissioner Convery, can you please tell us about
Actually, I have one thing to say.
Gina? Yes?
In my email from Elise, of the people that we nominated, she said that if anybody was supporting her, she'd rather see you supporting Claire and Cricket. So that was her input on that. So I'm just gonna
okay.
tell you what Elise said. in
Okay,
the
I didn't
email.
see that in the email I got. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, then going to Commissioner Convery, and please tell us the nominee and also what the category is that you're.
Okay, sure. I nominated Claire Hill, category 3, 4, and 6, and I also got a letter of support from Craig Walker. Did you all get that letter? Did everybody get
Yes.
it sent to you? Okay, so I don't
Yep.
need to read that out, but he was very happy when we talked about Claire's contribution, and you've all read my bio about her, so I don't need to reread that to you, but just some notes after I talked to Craig, and I'd already submitted my bio, Claire taught so many students in Ojai, and every student she taught them how to be a good neighbor, and she taught them to respect the town, which created some really very good citizens in our town. And I speak from direct experience because I was her neighbor from 1996, and I honestly didn't know how to be a neighbor until I lived next door to Claire and how to be involved in the town. I also wanted to say that nobody works in a vacuum, and I don't think Terry, and I'm sure he'd agree with me because he's, wholeheartedly behind this award, he would never have achieved what he did with preservation without Claire's involvement. They were definitely a team. And a lot of times when I asked Terry a question, Claire had the answer, for various reasons. So I just thought it was really interesting that this behind-the-scenes person who's really never been recognized for all she's done, I thought it was a really interesting choice. She also served on the museum board for 9 years in a preservation capacity, which Craig pointed out to me. I wasn't aware of the work she did there. And, I just think she made a really big contribution to our town in a very stealthy way over the last 50 years. So that's the story of Claire Hill.
So would you like to open the discussion to Claire at this time rather than going ahead with Alan? Or
Alan, sorry, I just had Claire first at the top of my list.
No,
I was just sort of going down the list.
completely agree. I'm just trying to decide whether we
Oh, yeah, for the...
do it individually or as a group.
I don't know. I thought we were going to each go through our nominees. But Claire's the annual award, and Alan is, I think, the only person on here for the
Cricket
Lifetime
is too.
Award, right?
Cricket is.
Cricket. Oh, okay. So...
Maybe we should do that first. Do the annual awards first
sure.
and then the Lifetime.
Yeah, well, I won't repeat myself when it comes back to Claire. But you all saw my bio about Alan. Alan's 90 now, and honestly, Ojai would not be Ojai without Alan Raines. He really held the arcade together in one piece, as you all read in the description. And everything that he did at Raines, from expansion to maintaining the integrity of the store, has created the integrity of the arcade, in a really strong way. So that was my initial thought when I nominated Alan for a Lifetime Achievement Award, because he's, and he's passed it on to his son Jeff, who's doing the same thing. He's maintaining the store in the same way that they've had it since they bought it. It's actually 1916. I had written 1914, and Jeff corrected that. So, it's pretty amazing. There aren't a lot of downtowns that have a core like that, and most of them fall apart and for whatever reason, the Walmart comes in, or downtown Main Street in Ventura, Urban Outfitters comes in, there's just changes. So that's why I think Alan deserves the Lifetime Achievement Award, because he definitely protected the heart of our downtown over the course of more than 50 years, in a really determined way, and against any, I'm sure somebody offered him a lot of money here and there along the line, and he didn't fall for it. So that's integrity.
Yes.
And I think I just want to say, Cindy, I think also the fact that it's continuing, and he through his family, and they're continuing to run the store in the same way. They're looking towards the future and not thinking of selling, which a lot of the owners of those properties that have had them for a long time have sold in the past year or two.
Right.
So I feel like that's an important thing too.
Yeah.
That it's still valid. They're still valuable.
A third
Also, I have a
generation
comment.
owner.
Okay.
I think,
Comments on
excuse me.
Claire Hill? Somebody's talking.
I had a comment on Alan Raines.
We-
Is that okay?
Go to Claire first.
Whatever.
Gina.
Hi. Can I speak?
Yes, please.
I actually met Claire before I knew of the HPC or of Terry, because she worked as a teacher at Valley Oak Charter School. And so I had both Claire and Craig at our school. So we had this tiny little wonderful charter with the most wonderful historians and people who really cared about our town. And so I got to know that side of the family before I met Terry. And then Terry just rounded it all out to really make them a a dynamic couple. So I'm definitely behind her, what you said about making people good citizens and good neighbors. She's they can't be beat, those two.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else on Claire? I'll go ahead. I've known Claire from being on the museum board with her. They always hosted our Christmas party at their house. She did the creative artwork for the museum for invitations and all kinds of different things, as well as Craig mentioned, worked on the exhibits and was a key part of that. Terry, I've been on the Historic Preservation Commission with Terry, as has Commissioner Combry. I've been to their house multiple times and talking with Terry for, it's a quick 5-minute drop in and an hour and a half minute leave. Just wonderful people to talk to, always accommodating, always there for help and for reference when Terry's forgetting where something else is. And of course, Claire knows where it is. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what has been said from Claire. They are partners. One other thing that's interesting to this meeting is it was through Claire that I found out that Cindy Combry was selling her landmarked home. And so with that introduction, then we contacted Cindy, brought the photographer from the museum, asked Cindy if we could photograph her landmark house, her beautiful house. And we went over there, we introduced her. She took us on a fabulous tour. She had to go someplace and said, okay, we'll just close the door on the way out. So again, that introduction to people that are known and influential in the historic entities and properties is just something that Claire was always looking for. So I appreciate that introduction. Okay, Jenny, thank you for your comments on Alan. I appreciate that. Other comments on Alan Raines?
Yeah, I think that
Yes.
since I've been in Ojai, he's been here the whole time and he's almost 90. And I think it would be really great for him to get an award before he passes on, since he's so old.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. In 2012, we started oral history interviews. I, with different board members, we asked the museum who we should interview. Alan Raines happened to be number one on that, and he was the number one person we interviewed. 2012, I think we've interviewed 40 or so people since. Nice that Alan's still around and still as pleasant and warm as he's always been. It was the other thing that he pointed out that maybe people don't know is that they came to him and because they wanted to bring a bank downtown. And so they ended up building the bank right across the street. And once that bank was put in, that essentially cemented the downtown as a business center rather than just a retail type center. So
What year was that?
no idea.
It was Bank of America. I think it was like 61 or 2.
Yeah, I was thinking the
Quite a while
60s.
ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So just making sure I'm not getting correct fact checks on my phone. Yeah, Alan has been key. I mean, stories of him sitting on top of the arcade when the protests were going on, he and another person with, I think, shotguns, never had to fire them, but people knew they were there. And again, and that was done not just to protect the store, but to protect the downtown. The 60s were crazy times, even in downtown Ojai. And who set off the bomb is still an urban legend here. Okay, so yes, Alan Raines is a wonderful person and I think well deserving of this. Next person down is, we'll go to Dwayne Bauer. Dwayne Bauer, I talked with Dwayne yesterday. I found a shady spot, called him on the phone, and talked with him and ran down what you saw. We also did a interview with Dwayne. I think it was back in about 2017, maybe 2016. As you can see in that, Dwayne's was very much influenced by his father, Bud Bauer. Bud's a well-known person. And his dad was very involved in several things, from the cleaning up the encampment that was at the Ojai Valley Inn on the back slope to putting in the Lake Casitas out there. And Dwayne was there with every step, doing what he could. In fact, he would drive the truck into Lake Casitas, then Santa Ana Valley. His dad would bring the bulldozer over, load up the truck with topsoil, and then Dwayne would take it off to be sold. Nice enterprise. So, and interesting to note that Dwayne's collection of automobiles began at the age 14. That's when Pop Soper, who I didn't realize was born here in Ojai, died, and that was in 1957, and was selling his Packard automobile. And there's quite a story that goes behind that Packard, because it was from New York City and owned by some influential people in town. And he ended up buying that again at 14, and has kept every Bauer vehicle since then in his museum over there on, starts with Bryant Street. So he, as we saw recently in the Centennial, makes his vehicles available. As we know, the HPC, he brings down his Ojai police car every year, mock-up, a prop in movies, and just the funnest place for people to take a picture. Always explaining that wasn't a real police car. As we saw in the explanation, it was a new Edsel that was sold at the local Ford dealership originally to someone else, and then when they turned it back in, Dwayne bought both vehicles, both Edsels that were there. So the other person that I would do Dwayne, I'm not sure whether that's just an annual recognition or a lifetime recognition. I lean more towards an annual recognition. Cricket Twitchell, I talked to Cricket yesterday morning. She hiked out of the forest in Maine, found a mountaintop where she had reception, and called me, and we spoke for about a half an hour. Cricket, again, if you saw that, Cricket was named for the cricket club in Marion, Pennsylvania, I believe, because her roommate was a Marianne, I believe, and their fellow friend was too confused, so she gave her that nickname, and it stuck. She and her husband were at Thatcher for 30-something years, but she, in following her father, who was a banker and said to give things back, and her mother, who was a collector and a historian, has continued to emulate those things, being on the museum for 16 to 18 years, clear back at the beginning, with people like Bob Brown and Effie Skelton, who settled that and telling stories. She was here on the Historic Preservation Commission for 6 years at the invitation and placement of David Mason. David was that kind of person. You're a new person, and you are. And one of the things when I was looking is I highlighted the fact that she often dressed up in vintage clothing on different events. The other thing she's remembered for is the beginning of the walking tour on a regular basis on Saturday mornings, other than our hot months in the summer. And she has done that and done many things. So that's why she was recommended by both Craig Walker and myself to be the Lifetime Award. So any other comments on Dwayne Bauer or Cricket Twitchell? Let's start with Dwayne.
I think Dwayne's a really interesting choice. I really like it. So, I think he's fantastic. I love all of the stuff he does, and the fact that he makes all of his property available to Ojai, which is pretty unusual in this day and age. So I think that's a really good annual award nominee.
Great, thank you. The one key thing I forgot, and this was introduced just a couple years ago, Once the project was finished, he brought it down to Ojai Day there at the fountain, and that was the restoration of the city Sewell Buggy that had been fallen into disrepair. And he bought it in pieces, went to Amish country to get the wheels for it, the metal wheels for it, because only they had
That's
the wheels
amazing.
for that vehicle. And then through a restoration company that's down in Oakview and Riverside, restored it to a piece of art. So, thank you. Other comments on Cricket Twitchell?
I like, I think it's a good choice. I just feel like Alan might be a stronger annual award. He's older. I mean, Cricket, you said, just hiked a mountain. So maybe Cricket could be
In Maine.
next year.
Does Cricket live in Ojai anymore?
It's back and forth. She's half and half,
Yes.
I think. So that's my only thought is I think we only do one lifetime achievement award.
We did.
Generally speaking, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I felt like that's my only contribution on those two names.
Can we do Rose and Craig together?
And we
Rose
did
Bauer.
Pat and the Cloughs last year.
Oh,
Because
right.
I know I was figuring out how to deliver their plaques
Yeah. Oh, okay.
with
Well, there
COVID
you go
going
then.
on. So,
Both for annual. So we can select more than one annual award.
Yeah, lifetime achievement. award. Yeah.
Lifetime. I'm sorry, lifetime. Yeah, opposite.
so then I would like to, if there's not any other discussion, I'd like to open the floor to individual nominations. And then we can vote for them as they come by. So a individual nomination for Claire Hill for an annual Historic Preservation Award. Do I hear a motion and a second?
Yeah, I make a motion for Claire.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? So, Cheryl, could we get a vote on that, please?
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
and Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time then, a nomination for Alan Raines and a Lifetime Achievement Award. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Okay, that's Valerie.
Second.
The second by Cindy. If you could call the roll, please.
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
and Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all. Okay, we will move down to Dwayne Bauer for an annual award. Do we hear a motion? I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Vote, please, Cheryl.
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
and Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and Cricket Twitchell for a Lifetime Historic Preservation Award. And I will
So
make that motion.
can I just ask a question,
Of
Ryan?
course.
So we have 3 now in the lifetime category.
2. We have
So,
Claire Hill as an annual,
Claire's an annual.
and
Okay.
Dwayne Bauer's as an annual.
Right. Okay. So 2 in lifetime and 2 in annual.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I made a motion on Cricket Twitchell for a Lifetime Achievement Award. A second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Voice call or vote, please.
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
and Prebor.
Yes.
Great, excellent. Thank you all. We will now move along to item number 4. So we will advise these individuals that this has taken place. The next step is to narrow it down. Yes, Lucas, you're leaning forward.
I know, I'm waiting for you. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay, the next step is to take the information that was presented and bring it down to perhaps a smaller version. In the past, Sherry has actually done that for us.
It will be Cheryl this time.
Okay, so Cheryl?
Yep.
So Cheryl, will you do that then, and then you'll bring it back to next meeting? Is that
Yes, we'll
correct?
bring it in the form of a resolution for the commission to consider.
Excellent. Okay, did I step on anything else, Lucas?
Nope, I was just waiting my turn.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, and then in the past, up until last year, the presentations have been in the first week of December, but with the election and everything else that went on last year, I think it wasn't presented until like February. But we're going to see if we can hurry that up this year. Okay,
We've got a better timeline this time.
excellent, excellent. Perfect. Thank you all. Okay, at this time, Bruce, you're up now. We have item number 4, correct, Lucas? Yes. Okay,
Number
and
4.
a staff report by Lucas, please.
Yes, and actually I'm going to turn this over to our associate planner, Mara McLaura.
Oh, there she is.
I think she's there virtually.
I first met Mara in the driveway. So,
Yes, at the Hummel House, that's right. Nice to see you again. Thank you, everyone. So you have here the plaque language for the Hummel House, and the Hummel House landmark designation was approved by the City Council in August. You saw it prior to that date and recommended that they approve it. You've received a message from Craig Walker from Public regarding the language. And as far as language goes, I can read it to you, but you have it. If you'd like me to read it, just let me know. And then I'm going to turn it over to you to make your comments on it.
I got the email, but I can't find it in my phone. Do you have a copy of it? Oh, cool, thanks.
are you talking about a copy of Craig's email?
Yeah, I didn't have it.
I think
I was just
worthy to
wondering,
note,
I was just
in addition to
wondering
that,
if they
worthy
were
to
normally that long. That's a very lengthy plaque. Are they normally that?
Commissioner Prebor, can we just hold you, we're going to get to discussion by us in just a moment.
I wanted to also
Okay.
note that Tiffany Rochelle submitted a comment in terms of recommending potential location for the plaque as well. So
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. And that may have been emailed kind of late today. Actually, it wasn't 4:22. That may have been forwarded to you.
Yes, that's the one with the owner, Tiffany Rochelle, and where she would like the placement on the outer wall at the entrance, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Public comment. Bruce, were you here to speak or to answer questions, or Cheryl, do you know? Bruce, Paul, sorry, Paul.
I'm just here in case anybody could support. We fully endorse everything, in case anybody has. Yeah, I'm Tiffany's husband.
Yes.
I actually think Craig's wording is really great. And yeah, Jenny, it's a little bit long, but sometimes the plaques can be bigger. And the plaque that I have at my house is pretty wordy, but I get people all the time that come to my front door and they make comments about the plaque because it's right by the front door. It's like even the FedEx guy reads it. It's really interesting. People are really interested in the details. So I think Craig's comments and additions are really valid. There's only one change that I would like to see in Craig's version where it says motifs of kimono-clad ladies. I would put motifs of kimono-clad women just because I think it sounds better. It doesn't sound like so geisha-y, but they are kimono-clad women. So that's the only change I had on Craig's language.
Okay.
I like it as is. I think it's really well done.
Yeah.
I like the length of it. I mean, I thought it was very, interesting to include so much information. I didn't think it was going to be so lengthy, but I think especially for the Hummel House, where so many people walk past that site on their way to Pratt Trail, I think it would be very interesting to have as much information as possible.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Prebor. We're going to put a pause just a second. Paul, did you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, the reason, I think that it's relevant, the reason. Hi, I'm Paul Hibbler. I think it's, the reason we want to put it on the gate is because you can't see the house. So and as I agree, people are walking by there all the time. So I think that's more relevant than bringing it up to the house because nobody will see the plaque. That's why we think it would be better to put there.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, other commissioner comments on the plaque and the language?
I
Yes.
like Craig's language as well, and I with the change to women, I think that was a good catch there. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do wherever I am, wherever my travels lead me, is to get out and read the plaques, and the more information, the better.
Okay, great. Thank
I
you.
agree.
Other comments? No? Okay.
Valerie.
Yeah.
Valerie?
Commissioner James.
Sorry, didn't see your
I
hand.
just
move.
want, if it's time, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We're not there yet.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
no problem.
So, just a minute or two. Okay, so I talked to Craig about this. I asked him why the crossout on the landmark also includes the surrounding property, and I told him about the discussion that we had with Tiffany on deciding that that's what she wanted to landmark. Craig just crossed it out because he thought that was probably just understood.
Yeah.
And the the kimono-clad ladies changed to women was not the part that he was necessarily worried about. So good that you pointed that out. Thank you. Otherwise, yes, we have tended to go with plaques that are very informative. Just look at the Nordhoff Grammar School plaque. I think our plaque out front for the Smith-Hobson House is informative. And I like that also. So, Valerie?
Yeah, I'll be right there. I wanted to make a motion
Yes, please.
to approve
Yes,
as however everybody wants it with the women.
yes, with that change.
Okay.
Did you make a motion? Sorry.
Yeah, I just made a motion.
Okay, great. Thank
To
you.
make a motion to approve the language with the change of women, ladies to women, correct?
I have one question. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Where it's underlined, hosted many celebrated musicians there, such as, it's not there, it's here, right? Because you're standing at the house when you're reading it.
Yes. Very.
Yeah, that would
very
be
good.
true. That would be true.
Correct. And then, of course, we'll need to figure out who the
Be right back.
space is.
Yeah, so just take out the word there. Hosted many celebrated
Oh,
Right.
musicians
perfect.
such as, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't need it there.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
easy.
Sorry about that.
And then so we'll take that as an amendment to Valerie's motion. Do we have a second then with those changes?
Second it.
Okay, we'll let Jenny
Jenny.
be noted on that. Okay, roll call, please.
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
Prebor.
Yes.
Great. Thank you all, and thank you, Paul. Good to see you again. Okay, we're now moving to item number 5. Okay, staff report, Mr. Lucas.
Go back.
So what we have tonight is a discussion from the artists about using the Ojai jail. I know this came in late last week, but it's really for an art install and consideration of whether to provide support for a grant from the Arts Commission regarding this matter. This came before actually by Vice Chair Convery, if you'd like to speak on this a little bit more.
Sure. Actually, well, the artists are here, you know, the designers, so they can describe the project. But it was under discussion for, I don't know, several months, I guess. And the idea was to not just have a cool exhibit at the Ojai jail, but to bring attention to a landmark that nobody even sees. I mean, it was like considered a maintenance building until the 60s. Like, you saw that article. So, you know, now it's the famous Ojai jail, but it doesn't get used except for one day a year on Ojai Day. And So this seems like a really great way to, maintain the property, bring attention to the property, let people know there's a jail in Ojai, and that it can be used for other things besides locking people up. So I think it's a really fun idea to bring attention to an interesting landmark. To me, it's a really Ojai mentality, to put art in the jail. And with that, I would say we should hear from the grant writers, the proposal writers.
Okay, so if you could please come up, state your name, and then tell us what you will be doing. And one of the concerns of always is in dealing with a landmark is that it not be changed in any way. So that's the caution.
I'm Elizabeth Herring, and I'm one of the organizers.
I'm Matt Henriksen. I'm one of the other organizers.
Okay.
And we're missing Teddy Nava, who's our third organizer, but he has an injury, so he couldn't make it. But yeah, I can read my statement that I have. I sent it as an email, but essentially, we applied for our Arts Commission grant last week on Friday, and we wanted to have the approval of the HPC for this project so that we could get funding for it. And essentially, we want to discuss the possibilities of using the interior and the exterior of the jail for a temporary week-long exhibition to take place in either May or October of 2022, and also that is tentative, of course, depending on your approval and how our organization goes. But our project title is OJAI, Ojai Jail Arts Initiative, which is special. And and basically we're asking for your endorsement, and we're very open, of course, to speaking to you about like what's not allowed, what is allowed. We understand that like nothing can be altered or changed. We have no intention of doing that at all. Like part of our project involves, like Cindy, my mom said, sorry, I'm not used to calling you Cindy.
Let's just say that.
Convery to you, kid.
Yeah, Convery. But anyways, the intention is to draw attention, of course, to the history of the building as much as it is about creating an artistic expression that would be more future thinking or future forward. But do you have anything to add?
Just that in service to that, we'd like to be as transparent with you guys as possible and provide you whatever information and flow of information either way. So is there anything we can do to receive your support or help you feel more comfortable doing that? We'd be happy to provide any information, documents, anything else.
Can you describe how the art might be placed around the site?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have ideas. There's a textile artist. That's Vanessa Wallace Gonzalez.
No,
I have them switched.
It's Annette Hewley. It's a textile artist who grew up here and resides in Ojai currently.
Yes, and so we were thinking about her work really exists in space in kind of a large-scale way, but if she could possibly weave something that maybe you move through in order to get to the building, or maybe that's already inside the building that you kind of experience while standing inside. Also, artist Gary Lang, who's a very established painter and also a resident, wants to create an audio, possibly visual piece surrounding, poetry that he's working on. There's also a sound artist.
It would be multidimensional. There's some spaces for some traditional art, but also, like Elizabeth is describing, installation elements that work with the space as it is and respond to it. So sound elements, sculptural elements that work in and around the building.
Probably not a lot of like hanging a formal painting on the walls, because that's not really what the space is good for. But, creatively thinking about how you can encounter that space in non-traditional ways. Multidimensionally.
So
Elizabeth,
art would be
is this a
outside.
series?
Yeah.
Is this a series or a one?
It would be, we have it set up in 2 different months, just depending on our ability logistically to make it happen. So it would be one time for probably a space of a week with permanent installation elements and probably several performance or time-based elements that might happen a single time during that week-long installation.
And we have considered the idea, if we could get funding for this, that is, for it to take place every 2 years. You know, this could be a biennial project. It could also lead to a larger project in town, but that is definitely like looking very far forward.
The Ojai Biennale.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, you know, the way you're talking about it, that it could be an annual installation, like it's a different, you know, idea each year, something like that. You've already mentioned 3 artists.
To have that potential, yes.
Yeah, to have that potential would be amazing, and we would have to set a lot of precedents in order to get there, so that's why we're a bit apprehensive.
Commissioner McCatton?
Hi, I have a question. Is there any other second month you can pick besides October? Because that is the only time the HPC does open it, and it's kind of like, you know, I don't want it to steal our thunder with us opening it on Ojai Day.
Yeah.
So,
sorry. Oh no.
If there was another month besides October, I would definitely be in support of this.
That's totally possible. We actually intentionally chose October because we were thinking that if it's of interest to you all, we could maybe coincide with Ojai Day and bring even, you know, have the jail open, maybe have that day be the like historic element of, you know, either if there's a historic kind of reenactment or performance or some kind of aspect that like really kind of plays off of like what already happens at the jail on Ojai Day. And possibly it could be like the day that the exhibition closes and it's like a celebration of that. But that's totally, of course, like we're not planning on that, but it was an idea that we had. But we're happy to choose another month.
That is why we picked that month for the potential
Yeah.
for that, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was just one thing we put out there, May or that month for that reason.
I pictured you meaning that like beginning of October you're doing this, and then the 3rd week of October we're doing that. So I mean, yeah, I would be up for discussion of a joint thing, but I wouldn't want it to be 2 separate weeks in the same month.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
It almost seems like Ojai Day would be the launch,
Yeah.
because then you'd have a chance to tell people what was happening for the next week.
Yeah, that was also a consideration, definitely.
Commissioner James, any questions?
I agree with doing it in the same week because it would be a synergy and probably bring more attention both to the art and to the historic preservation.
Great, thank you. Okay, so comments I have. First off, before you go in the jail, be very careful. There are some black widows that are very territorial and somehow, in spite of a lack of food, grow to humongous proportions, because, you know, any black widow's pretty big to most people, including me. Before we go in there in October, we asked the city to go over and completely clean it out. One year, though, we did have a mother come to us and say, there's a big black widow over there in the corner, and as soon as everybody left, it ceased to exist. Sorry, insect lovers, but we had kids there.
And also being careful of the graffiti, because if you don't keep an eye on people, they think it's a wall to sign your name on. So you have to, always have somebody monitoring the graffiti in there, because it is part of the history. It's not something to be, messed with.
Yes, exactly. So there, and in 2 of the cells, there is pencil graffiti, which is, even with the door open and the limited light, very hard to see with the flashlights. So we bring some higher power flashlights that we can show. So again, something to be very careful. As Commissioner McCatton said, we're always there monitoring it when we have people in there. They are on the 2 cells to the right, facing, on the farthest one facing east, on the one on the left then facing west. So just something to go in and maybe, map out and say, hey, this is an issue we need to be careful. So we appreciate that. My other question was security. As you know, as we've commented on, it's a long ways from pretty much everything. How would you deal with security?
there is a portion in the grant application you put specifically for having somebody on site for that purpose. It's part of our proposal for the space is to have somebody there to keep an eye on it during the course of this exhibition.
Okay.
Could you guys tell us a little bit about your respective backgrounds? So, I mean, that you're both from Ojai, that you're young artists here. You know, I think that's really interesting in working with a landmark property.
Do you mean like also to like kind of clarify how we've thought through?
Well, yeah, just a little. I want to hear a little bit about your bio, both of you, because Matt, you know, you've got Bart's books and the basic premise and a pretty big footprint in art world, and you too, Elizabeth. So I don't think that the other commissioners are aware of all that.
Okay, I'll go.
It's interesting.
So I grew up in Ojai. I've been here my entire life. My family's been here since the 30s. My great-grandfather immigrated into the port of Los Angeles in 1938, moved to Ojai shortly thereafter. I currently am the manager of Bart's Books. In addition to that, I run an art gallery with my partner Teddy, who isn't here. Teddy also grew up in Ojai. He's a practicing artist as well, as am I. And I can't tell you much more about his history other than that he also currently resides in Ojai.
Yeah, I am Vice Chair Convery's daughter, and I grew up here. And since leaving Ojai, I have gone on to study the arts at both an undergraduate and a graduate level. I'm currently completing my photo and media master's at Cal Arts this year. I've worked in the arts professionally as a gallery assistant on the administration side and also as an artist assistant in production for large artists in both New York and Berlin, Germany. But I'm also an artist myself.
Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
current resident around the corner.
So for, you know, because that's a level of comfort for us when you're working on a landmark property that you have all extensive experience in galleries and installations, and this isn't just a whim or something.
So Matt, nice to see you again. We met through the museum interchange. I know where your heart is just from listening to you that day, and also being the guy who runs in the very back to see what historical book that I might not have has arrived. You both also brought, Vice Chair Convery brought to my attention the pop-up art that was in the store down there towards the east that I had no idea was a faux artistic. I'm still wondering where that book on the jail is, though.
Right, I know, I was just thinking about
Where is
that.
that?
You knew that was going to get mentioned, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, and Matt talked to us about that too, as you know, a new way of enriching the community with this type of pop-up art, and so very interesting and very insightful and exciting. So again, I was very thrilled. I think I called Cindy and said, well, if that's, you know, that window should be the first stop on your Ojai community journey, because then you can see all the oddities and the curiosities and the history all in one screen. And then I called Perry over at the newspaper and raved to him about it. So he did a very nice write-up on it. I was happy to see that. So yeah, I've shared my don't touch the pencil drawings and watch out for the big black widows.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I have a question for Lucas. Since this is just a discussion item, and I probably have to recuse myself since I'm related, but how do we go forward to give our endorsement to the Arts Commission?
You can do it through a minute action, so taking a vote, or we could even do it through a resolution if you want to go that formal. It's really up to the pleasure of the commission.
Okay.
Okay, I think I would like to do a motion rather than waiting for a proclamation, because I think you're on somewhat of a time crunch.
Well, so we've submitted the grant
The
application.
application is already submitted, so
Okay.
I don't think anything will motivate any reading of that at this point. But it would be nice,
Yeah.
you know, just if that comes through and move forward, to have your endorsement as well.
Yeah, we will be doing a presentation to the Arts Commission in what is like a month. They ask all grant applications to, you know, present their projects. So
So that would be helpful then as well.
Okay.
I think I have another question, and this is
Yes.
probably a Lucas question. If we make a motion to support it, with our comments, that would then go to the Arts Commission or be made available to them, or they could include it in their presentation at the Arts Commission meeting, right?
Yes,
It's not like it's going to happen in a vacuum.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And in full disclosure on ex parte conversations, a few weeks ago, I was waiting for my new grandbaby. Thank you, Chair Commissioner Convery. I did get a phone call or a message from Marcy Tosher, who is the chair of the Arts Commission, asking me to call her. I called her, and she was just curious why an art project was coming before the HPC beforehand. And so I explained to her, again, it's a landmark. We're very sensitive with landmarks and projects that are near to it. And so we were going to listen and then give you our comments on that. Nothing more than that. And she fully understood that, she being a chair of her own commission. But I did want you to know that she and I did talk for a few minutes. Okay. I guess we will look for, looking for a motion. Is that what we want to do, Lucas?
Can I ask it, Brian, can I just ask one more question of
Yes, of course.
of the art team? So when all of these projects are presented, is that something that is a closed door session, or is that open to the public or commissioners, or, this is all city funded, right?
yes, we're hoping it will be city funded, and it would be a public artwork, so it's open to the public, and it's free admission.
No, I mean your presentations,
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
your
I believe it's open to
pitches.
the public, but if it's not, we'd be happy to provide that stuff all that same information to you as well.
Lucas, do you have a comment?
I just think it would be interesting to see what if we're supporting this project,
there's
what we're
Councilman
running
Hand.
against, so to
Thank you.
speak.
Okay, Lucas.
In terms of a motion, I think it's a motion, a second, and then just
The question is, when they present it to the Arts Commission, can we all go listen?
Well, of course.
Question, Jenny?
Well, my question is, when they present it, can we go listen? Yes. Is that something that is open to us and to others?
Public.
you can
in the
absolutely
community.
tune in.
Yes.
I encourage you to do that.
Okay. Now it's time for the motion speech. What's the
Yes,
motion?
and again, you can sign up for any of the public meetings such as ours. You can sign up on the email list. I get emailed it as soon as, like in our case, as soon as Cheryl put out, it's there. And then what I do is I typically review the agenda, and so that would give you an idea of when they will be talking about it in their public meeting. And there is no reason to expect that anything would be private in that case. It is it's public
That's good.
art. Okay, so I will, you're recusing yourself, Cindy?
I think I should.
Yeah, I think you should as well, yes.
Okay, so then I will ask for a motion, please.
I will
I'll
make that motion. Okay.
Okay, I'll second it. I'll second it. I love the idea.
Okay, Jenny, we'll let you make the motion.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Gina, is
And
that
I
a
can-
second?
I can second it, yes.
Okay, call for a vote, please.
Akins,
Yes.
Convery,
Recuse.
James,
Yes.
McHatton,
Yes.
Prebor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So you then have that recommendation. If Chair Tosher has any questions, she can, of course, talk to staff here or watch the video or call me. Okay?
And we'll work to
Thank
get you
you.
that information in terms of the minutes and stuff, so
There we
that'll
go.
become forthcoming.
Great, thank you both.
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you, Elizabeth. Good to see you again, Matt.
Bye, you guys.
Okay, moving on to item number 6. Ojai Day schedule. Thank you for putting that together, Cheryl. And we would like to welcome our liaison, our council liaison, and not our have a vote tonight liaison. Welcome, Councilman Haney. Nice to have you here with us. Okay, Ojai Day schedule. I think Commissioner James, you had expressed an interest in the 11:30 to 1.
Yes, that would be nice. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I have set it in. I plan to be there in the morning and then for the breakdown in the afternoon.
Can I do number 4?
I'm sorry, Gina, what?
Can I do spot 4, 1:30 to 3?
4.
Sure.
So wait, Valerie's first, and then,
Valerie's Commissioner number 2.
okay, so I could be number 2 or something.
What time do you want?
12:30 to 2?
Okay. So
What time?
Commissioner
I
number
work
2.
in my shop on that day. Is there something that I can help Brian with in the setup before my shop opens?
Sure. Yeah. What time does your shop open, Jenny?
11.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you want to meet me before 10. Usually
Yeah.
the city staff cleans it out and brings the information over, and so we just do a basic setup and make sure there's no black widows and.
Okay.
and
Well, I'd like to help with that and see what that process is.
Okay. So I think setup is maybe around 9:30.
Okay.
That's our best guess, but
Okay.
yeah.
Put it in the
So we'll
calendar.
plan on that. Thank you, Jenny. And breaking down, who are we missing? Let's see. Oh, we got 2 of us up time. So I will plan on being there in the afternoon. And on Ojai Day, you have no idea how cool it's going to be, how hot it's going to be.
True.
I bet if it rained that day, no one would be totally upset. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you all.
Perfect.
Moving to item number 7, Gina, do we want to talk about,
Well, first of
Item
all,
number 8 first?
the date on here is not correct.
the what?
The date has been moved to October, and it doesn't reflect that on here. Our joint council.
Yeah, so that's actually item number 8. Can we talk about
Okay.
item
Well,
number
the whole-
8 first, Lucas?
Yeah, let's
Let's
talk
go to
about.
item number 8 first, Gina, and then we'll go to item number 7.
Okay.
Okay. Well, there really isn't a 7 discussion.
Okay.
It's more just informational. We are there's really nothing to discuss. We are meeting on the 21st and 27th for our ad hoc. We're going to work on our presentation, and then we'll present it to our regular meeting for the HPC, and then we will have our joint councils. So there's really nothing to report right now, except making sure that everybody knows what's the date for our joint council.
So let's talk
Except
about.
for item number 8. Sorry, this all goes back to a conversation that I had with Lucas while I was down in Redondo Beach looking for a new toy for our newborn grandson. So it was switched from September to later because it was a choice of do it sooner and get 30 minutes of Zoom, or do it later and get 60 minutes of looking at Councilman Haney in the eyes and sharing our message. So as you can see on item number 8, that has been moved to September 28th.
Yeah, we're actually looking at a joint meeting on September 28th. That's why I think it's important that we have this item first, so that we can then piggyback to item 7, because that might change your narrative slightly,
Yes.
Commissioner McHatton. And that was really because of kind of a log jam of items that are coming forward in closed session. So it gave us an opportunity to push it back and kind of refine, and obviously have an opportunity to look at that presentation a little bit closer and make some modifications or even improve upon it. So that's where we're at right now as a tentative date, and I would say it's more like that's the date we're looking at currently.
Okay.
And it would be in person. That's the other difference, is you would literally have us doing this versus the face-to-face contact.
At Libby Bowl?
Yeah.
At Libby Bowl?
At Libby Bowl, exactly. And the way in which it was set up for a previous joint is the tables are set up kind of in a V, if you will, and then so it opens the crowd up to see to be a part of the conversation
Nice.
as well. So
Yes.
Brian?
Councilman Haney? Yes, please.
I just had a question while you're on this line item is on the Preservation Commission draft sheet attachment A. Is there any reasons that some of the squares are gray and some are tan and some are gold? And is there anything that I should be thinking about in regards to the coloration on this map? Or
Yes, there is. Let me. It shows up at different colors on this, so I want to make sure I'm referring to the same colors because my screen is different. So with the Downtown Historic District, that is the area that we're considering to be the core downtown district. But within that, there's going to be conforming properties that are either already landmarked or significantly contributing to the look of downtown to tell the story, or non-contributing. And then so the non-contributing are the gray. It's a lot of residential, it's the gas station, it's Serendipity, that whole back area back there. And then so there's the gold that is landmarked. There's the yellow. See, if you look at the gold, you can see on Ojai Avenue, it's the arcade, but it's the yellow is the buildings, but the gold is the front, because the part that's the landmark is the actual front of it. So it's the arcade. And then the gold is all the contributing properties that are within the arcade. And so yeah, that's the I don't know what you want to call that, bronze and gold. The bronze are
I would just if you're going to give this to us at the joint session, you might have a key here. You might tell us what they are,
I will be doing a PowerPoint of some sort that will explain what conforming and non-conforming is, to make it a little bit more simple. This is kind of still inside of the brains of Brian and Craig and myself, but by the time we're in front of you, we will have it polished and hopefully clearly understanding how we're going to do this, and how we're going to do this very frugally, and how we're going to do this quickly, and hopefully get council support.
I agree with all of that. But remember, we get our packets on a Thursday. So we're going to be reviewing these in advance of the meeting. So any information that that can be added simply would benefit the council members. That's all. And your presentation is all obviously going to be the nuts and bolts. I get that. But anything that you're going to give us just would be beneficial if we, if we understood what the colorations were. And
perfect. I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Great.
Nice
Thank
job.
you. Thank you, Councilman Haney. Okay. Commissioner McCatton, we're going to need to adjust that schedule that you're talking about. And this is the last time that the HPC will see it before we have that joint meeting.
Yes, I would have. We would have met. We were going to meet this week, and Brian was really strapped for time, and Craig had company, and it was just like, okay, well, we're not going to meet till October, so let's move it to the 21st and 27th. So I'm sorry, I'm not better prepared with a presentation for our members to kind of go over it first. I know I did it before and we talked about it. Do you have any other questions? Do you have anything you want to talk about that might make my presentation better when we do work on this month?
Can you tell me what bullet points you're going to cover during the presentation?
Well, what we did was we want to cover reasons what is a contributing property and what is a non-contributing, and why. We want to talk about the landmarks and how we anchored how we looked at the historic district as anchors, and anchoring it to different landmarks and properties that are very significant historically to our town, and how we're doing it in a way where the only thing that's on this are properties that have reports done, have significant amounts of information on it. And so what we did from that is we took every single property and we wrote down where we got the information that made it historically significant, whether it was from the museum or history books, newspaper articles, and reports that were done by either our city homeowners, the city of Ventura, the state. And then we we have just a nice breakdown of it, but it's a lot of information. So what we want to do is have that information available, but just explain why we did it the way we did it. And it's basically because it's our 100th year. We really want to get it done this year. We know that there's some compromise by doing that because we don't want to spend the money. We don't have the money to ask you to spend to do these large scale reports on properties. And so we really focused on properties that already have that information. So we want to really stress how we're going to do it, and how we can get support from both the people who have contributing and non-contributing properties within there, both store owners and shopkeepers, as well as property owners, and our town, and just explain the significance and the importance of a downtown district and what it brings to our history and to our future, and that is how we plan on doing it. Is it's kind of like it's how I used to study when I was in college. You have like this tons of information, just keep getting it down to it's on a flashcard. Well, I want to present a flashcard, but I would like your packet to have all the backups. So if you want to read it, you want to see each property and where we're getting the information, it's there for you.
And can I just ask a question? Are the property owners and tenants aware that they're on the list, or that they're part of the core?
Well, most of the people in, especially in the arcade, they already know they're part of something that's part of history. I mean, there's so many things that go on. And that's another thing that we want to focus on, is explaining. We want to slimline what would be required to be part of the district, because we don't want to put any more regulations, any more information that they're going to have to, more hoops for them to jump through. So we want to look at that downtown and look at all the overlays and look at, okay, you're already in this district. You're already doing this. So all we're asking now is maybe tweaking this one way of thinking about it, like being part of a whole district. And, but it's what we want to do is, especially to get the support, and to get the support in a quick fashion, is to make that kind of compromise and that promise that there isn't going to be all of this other requirements on everybody, especially during COVID. I mean, the last thing we want to do is put any more requirements on stores and restaurants and people who are trying to be successful, and we don't want to put any more blocks in front of them. So this will actually, historic districts bring in people and bring in people who are interested in history and interested in towns that don't have chain stores, and our unique little downtown is kind of world famous. So I mean, this is just, so many people that I've talked to, they thought it was already a historic downtown. So this is just inking it and saying, it's time. It's 100 years. Let's do this. Let's take Libby's vision of the beautiful town and make it formal. So
I think it would be interesting if the shopkeepers and the building owners were aware of this presentation and could attend. I feel like I just feel like it would be very interesting for them to hear this, for a lot of those shopkeepers and business or building owners to hear what you just said.
Right.
I mean, plus everything else, but what you said, especially what you just said. I don't think all of them really are as aware as you think.
Yeah, I think that the thing that we need to do first is we need to get council buy-in. Right now we're just hoping that council wants to support this idea. And so that is what our joint council meeting is. It's more of a nuts and bolts of this project. Once we hopefully do get that council approval or support, then we take it to our meetings, and that's when we invite the public. That's when they will come. That's when we're going to have to do outreach, because there's going to be a vote that anybody in this district will have to have a say there. So that's all going to happen, but first we have to get council support, and we have to have council understand what we're doing and how we're doing it and how we're going to do it frugally and fiscally during COVID, you know, to make it timely
Can I
for
add
100.
something
So
to Gina?
that's the most important.
To what you said, Gina, and your question, Jenny, about a historic core, there already are distinct requirements for buildings in the arcade: paint colors, signage, you know, roofing styles. There, you know, all of these prescriptions are there as far as historic building codes and what people can and can't do with their properties. It's there. I mean, that's done. This historic core isn't going to really put any more, I don't like to call them restrictions, but any more design elements onto building owners because they're already there. So the historic core just defines the area. This is our historic downtown. And there could be plaques at, you know, either end or around town. There's already a walking tour, that kind of thing. But it just really defines the area, tells you where you are, the restrictions and the design elements and the historic requirements already exist. So it's more of a definition and it's kind of the finality of what we've been doing, what HPC has been doing for years, you know, with the colors and the signs and the pennants and all the stuff that happens in the arcade in downtown.
I just think that, I mean, no one ever told me anything like that when I rented my space.
Yeah, no,
I
agree with you. There needs to be more information.
I feel like just with the discussion going on about corporate shops moving in and, you know, a lot of the things that are going on now with the developments going on in the town, I just feel like, could this be an opportunity to reintroduce this idea to new shopkeepers and new tenants?
I think that's what the historic core actually does. It defines the area. Right now, you've got a building code that says you can do this, this, and this. And every building owner has to go find that building code and figure out what they can do. When you have a historic core, it defines the area, and it's all in one place. So if you're a new shopkeeper, conceivably, there can be a PDF that tells you you are in the historic core, and these are the definitions and the requirements and the limitations and what happens in the historic core. So it really unifies that, and I think it makes it much easier for new people, for existing owners to really understand what it means to be part of a historic downtown. And it's about future value of the town, about protecting the future value and not letting it erode, you know?
Yeah, and that I think is really important is understanding that narrative and understanding the support that you have with, you know, being part of it, but also not having any, you know, curveballs thrown at you. Like we were talking about with the signage, you know, if there's just a PDF where it says, this is where you are and this is what you're a part of and these are the things that you do. And instead of going and spending money on a sign and then finding out that, you know, this commission is now going, what happened to that? You don't want that. We want to support our shopkeepers. We want to support our downtown. I mean, we want everyone to thrive. And so having all of the things that are already from all the different from planning and from our city, or the general plan of all of the restrictions, or not restrictions, whatever you have to do when you are part of the arcade or you're part of the downtown, all we're doing is putting it in one place and making it have a story and an understanding and a purpose that will be part of our history and part of our future.
Okay, I'm going to step in here and weigh in. Jenny, we have, as a part of the committee, have purposely tried to stay low, not secretive, certainly not secretive, because we've been talking about the downtown historic area for 4 years. We've had meetings with the city council to tell them the ideas we were talking about, but we were to have a meeting to discuss this in early, right before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit, and we haven't met with the council since that time. And the reason why we were doing that is, again, we're not elected by anybody, and so we have been careful not to give any reason for anyone in the community to step forward and feel like this was something that was going forward with approval of anyone. It wasn't. That's why we've been asking for a joint meeting with the city council to present to them what we have done so far on a lot of hard work by Commissioner McHatton and Craig Walker to get this done, to get it done at no cost to the city so far, to look at, as Commissioner Convery said, the current regulations that are in place and how we can work within those regulations and do it by district by district. So again, it has been something that has been working in an ad hoc committee, has been reported on almost monthly for several years, and we're just trying to, as Commissioner McHatton done, see if the council approves this as a project to go forward, to bring to fruition, and to make a presentation to the council on whether they want to go ahead and, actually should come to the council, and then as we're getting closer to finalizing that, bringing it to the HPC and then back to the council based on the HPC's recommendation. So again, not secretive in any way, just a way to not let rumors flying and not instill any contention in the community. It was never done to restrict anybody in any way other than the restrictions that already exist, but to work closely to get a downtown historic district that would bring more customers, clients to Ojai to enjoy the downtown corridor that currently
And it's just
exists.
very, very important that we don't have an assumption that we have council support until we actually have council support. So that's why it's, I think it wouldn't be to the benefit of our project if we were to bombard council with shop owners and residents and people. And it's like, it's got to be something that it's just our idea. It's what we're working on. It's what we put our energy and our research into. And once we get to that council meeting, and if we are able to somehow have that support, then that's when we open it up.
Yeah,
that's when we all start talking.
We've been very careful to make sure people understand that this is a ad hoc committee within the Historic Preservation Commission. We have not gone farther than that, just other than in the past we have mentioned it in a joint meeting with the city council.
And at that time, it was a very different project. It was much loftier. It was pre-COVID. It was
and expensive.
Yeah, it was inexpensive. And this,
not
we
anymore.
are thinking of every man hour that we would require. We're being very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other questions?
Okay.
Yes?
Just one point.
Yes,
So, Commissioner McHatton, if you could, I know you're working on that PowerPoint and you've been working on it very, very, very hard. I would like, if at all possible, I'd like to try to get that as a part of an attachment when we take this forward on the 28th, so that the full council has an opportunity to see that ahead of time. I think it would probably be a good idea to print that out and have that in hand as well, to kind of flip through at the meeting as well, just so they get it ahead of time, I suppose. Anyway.
Okay. And Randy, you had something? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Councilman Haney.
No, you're fine. I enjoy that. Better off on first name basis anyway. Normally I would respond to a lot of this at the end of the meeting. But there's certain commissions that just do better when you're just interactive in the moment. I just want to state some simple things. Past communications. One of the things that and I'll speak for all council members right now. In the past, all communications that have ever come from HPC have been by far the most thorough, the most complete, the most insightful, and probably the most important thing is educational. I have never received a report or never read a report that I didn't want to sit back and say, why isn't this posted publicly so that everyone in Ojai could read and understand and really enjoy the information that this commission brings to the community. So as long as we have those things, and I know you do, in the back of your mind, your presentation should come off, I don't see with any problems. I think I have two thoughts on it seems to me, because I'm only hearing this for the first time, there might be a rush to get this through to council based on a joint session, which Lucas, I would be prepared to say that we could do that joint session anytime you want, based on your communication with the city manager and his calendar. But I would think that you guys would, I would think that the ad hoc would want to get everything together and actually come back to a HPC meeting and actually do a demonstration and walk through it so that all of you are 100% behind it versus coming to a council meeting. And when we start doing our round robin, start getting questions and maybe misunderstanding or more clarity, even from the commission itself. So it would be a better package if you all had it beforehand. You had an opportunity to discuss it, weigh in, modify, correct, whatever you choose to do. And now when you're coming forward to council, it's the commission as a body, and you've all read it, you've all seen it, you all understand it, and you're all behind it. That's just a thought. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's just a thought. And then for me, obviously, I've always said, Brian will tell you this, I'm always a stickler on criteria. You know, what are the reasons or what is the criteria for you making this decision to move this forward? It's important to have that in your packet. And then Cindy brought up, which I thought was important, are any regulations or any things of that nature that are either in place or might become of this new district. And then I want to go back to, is it Blanche? I think Blanche's comment about public information awareness. It seems like you want to wait to get council's blessing before you go forward with interacting with renters, building owners, landowners, and things of that nature. That might be something that you guys look at and talk about. Because if you came to a council meeting and you had, let's say, 25 sites and 23 of them were 100% behind you, you're going to come into a commission, you're going to come into a joint session, and you don't necessarily know who is behind you. I would think that if you had some of that information prior, that it would just support your rationale into moving this district forward. Again, these are just my comments. They're not that, and take them as only that. You as a body have to figure out how you want to do this, and we'll receive it whichever way you choose to present it. But from everything I've heard tonight, you guys are on it. So I look forward to anything that you present. So good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Lucas, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
So is there ever a time when where we have like a second meeting in a month? We have an afternoon meeting. We have something that we can post that makes it so we can meet.
Yeah, it's completely within the pleasure of the chair and the commission if they want to have a special meeting. It would be considered a special meeting.
Can we do that, Brian?
And by having that special meeting, you're thinking that we would hold that special meeting to iron out the presentation and the materials that go along with that. Is that what you're thinking?
Correct. I mean, I don't want to let go of the September 28th meeting, because if we are going to try to focus on this 100th, and we are doing a 12-month celebration, and we're in month 2 of the celebration? It started in August, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have 11 months to do wonders. So I don't want to let that go. So if we can have a special meeting where we can iron out, we can do the presentation for our commissioners, then we can still keep that joint council.
I leave that up to the
Brian?
discussion with the commission.
What do you think?
Gina, do you have time to get together with Craig and Brian? Like, that seems to me, I thought this meeting, we were going to see this presentation for the joint council meeting. And it
That's
sounds like Brian had a baby, not actually
No,
Brian, but,
what it,
you know, stuff
what exactly-
happens, right?
Well, actually, to interject, the date of September 28th, I found out about when I sat down and looked at the package.
Right. When was, our joint meeting was supposed to be like next week,
It was
right?
going to be, well, originally
when
it
it-
was going to be sooner,
Yeah.
but we were, because the city council is meeting at Libby Bull, we would have met there. However, that date was already reserved with the festivals. And so in the decision, discussion I was having on the side of the road with Lucas, with Gina, I think maybe with you, it was do it now with 30 minutes of Zoom or do it later in
Yeah.
October with an hour of live. So again, I think the second meeting in October for the city council is after when we would have the HPC in
I thought
October.
our joint meeting was September 28th.
Well,
Did I-
today,
did I
It is now.
misunderstand that?
It
Okay.
is
because
now.
we were,
So-
yeah.
That's the date
So
that we
was
my
able
question
to-
is, Gina, do you, Craig, and Brian have time to get this together before the 28th? If we set a
Absolutely.
meeting, are you guys going to be able to present
Oh,
to us and dial
Yeah,
it
the
in?
nuts and bolts are done. I mean, we just need to just talk how we want to present it and
So you
and
can
work
do a
on our.
mock presentation to us if we have a special
Right.
meeting prior to the 28th.
Yeah, I had planned on having it ready for this meeting, and we were planning on meeting before. But when we heard that it was going to be in October, we just kind of was like, well, let's just wait a month so we have that extra padding in there, and everybody. It just seemed like the thing to do. But yeah, if it's going to be September 28th instead of after council in October, then I will talk to Craig and Brian, and I mean, we're all pretty. We have days and times and hours in there where we can meet. I feel pretty confident that
So the
I can
answer
get
is yes.
two or
The
three
answer is
meetings
yes,
in
you
there,
guys can do
and also
this.
hopefully get a special meeting with HPC before the 28th. I know this is ambitious, but I don't want to lose that 28th date.
So
We waited a year and a half for
Are
that
you
28th date.
I was just about to.
Yeah, we're looking at Lucas who's looking at his calendar
Look at
on
the
his
calendar on the
phone.
phone here.
You have roughly 11 days, because anything that you put together and present to council has to be given
right.
to council by the 24th,
24th.
actually by the 23rd, which is a Thursday.
Okay.
Council would staff would probably want to get it there the
So
week of the 21st, 22nd. So
Correct, yeah, because
conceivably,
it goes out
could
the
we
week
meet
before.
the 20th, Monday the 20th? That would give 24, 48 hours to get it ready for the packet, for the agenda.
If you had any changes or anything that you saw that
Yeah,
was.
and Gina, that'll give you guys more or less 10 days. We could meet on the 20th, do the, practice run.
I just don't have a calendar in front of me here. I'm trying to.
Oh, well, let's just pretend like we can meet on the 20th and you can let us know.
The challenge with that is I want to make sure that we've got
Yeah.
enough time for it to also be put together as an item for council.
Yeah, I mean, the music festival is 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, so it's a little crazy. That's why I think the 20th is the soonest.
The 20th is a Monday, and that's typically when we're finalizing the agendas and they're getting ready to go out. That's really
The agenda goes out Thursday?
the latest.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
But this is the agenda for the joint council, and we only have one item on that agenda,
Yeah.
and that's this.
Yeah, but we need to meet together. So maybe the best way forward is for you, Gina, and Craig and Brian to find a date that you all three can work together, and then get back to Lucas, and Lucas can look at the calendar when you have it in front of you and pick 1 or 2 days where hopefully we can all coordinate. The only challenge that I see from my end is the music festival, and I know Jenny and I are both involved with the music festival, so there's that problem. But you know, we could work around it. But I think, Gina, it's about you and Craig and Brian finding a date sooner than later where you can finish up what you need and then go back to Lucas and see where he can squeeze us in.
So, I mean, I know that this is not just my decision. I know that waiting all of these months to get in front of council, it's just been
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
painful.
I'm with you.
But
We're on your
I'm
side,
also-
but we want you guys to be able to find
But-
time to do it so we can make this
Yeah,
happen.
I'm just saying, if there is an October date, I mean, I'm not objected to it. I just I know this is ambitious, but I think we could do it. But if we all feel more comfortable on an October date, I just don't want it to be a November or a December date.
And we'll have to
You know?
admit, I think October we're looking at a couple other commissions having joint meetings during that month.
I think we should hang on to our date. I think you guys can do it, and we can all meet somewhere. It's like an hour long. I mean, I'm sure we can figure this out. But I think it balances on when you, Craig, and Brian can find time in your schedule sooner than later.
Yeah, so we're at the 9th today. Sorry, I'm old school here. I've got the physical calendar. It would really need to be the week of the 13th. If you're going to have that opportunity to meet, we need to figure out a time that would work where we can get some Zoom space. Because I'm assuming it would be virtual, because that would be just
Yeah.
focused from a point of ease.
Do we have to meet here? Like, we could meet, it can be an off-site HPC meeting, right?
We can do it through Zoom. That's the lovely piece of technology that we've got here.
Okay.
But still allowing for, I mean, because it would be a public meeting.
It's a public, yeah, it has to
Yeah,
be.
and so there's a number of days' notice for that meeting.
Yeah, so you got to notice it by today.
Only if it's a public hearing. I mean, it
okay.
does require me to do, it requires staff to do, I think, 48 hours prior to. So yes, I would
there you
need,
go.
I would need a little bit of time. That's correct.
That's cool. Well, so back to Gina, Craig, and Brian.
Okay, so we were talking about a 20th special meeting? So
No.
out of,
I would think it would need to be earlier than that.
okay, but earlier
Like,
puts us
pretend
in
like it's going to
the-
be on the 15th.
Yeah, that I don't know if yeah, I would have to talk to Craig. I hate to put words in his mouth. I don't know his schedule. And Brian's really quiet.
Brian?
Oh, yeah, nope, I'm whatever works for you and Craig. The baby is born. And next week is usually a quiet week with just a few meetings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it comes down to Gina and Craig and what they can do, the time frame.
I think we should just call Craig up and ask him when he's
And I will
available.
be the,
I would say
Right.
after this meeting that the three of you get on a call and figure out what dates you have available. over
Yep,
the
we
next
can do
week,
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
There are
Right.
some dates that are going to be a challenge. Sorry, Randy. There's going to be some dates that are going to be challenged. We may have to do it early in the day.
Oh, Zoom-wise?
Yes. Yes, because there are other scheduled meetings, like for instance, the 15th, I know Planning Commission has a
Yeah.
scheduled meeting.
Yeah, I just threw that date out there to,
Yeah.
like, stake a claim, you know? But
But
yeah.
you're throwing out
we're
ideas, so
free.
yeah, absolutely.
I think we only need an hour, right?
Yes.
yep.
Okay. So, Randy, did you have a question? I saw something.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to run the question through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Unless Cindy is the chair, I'm not sure. Did you
No.
guys really want a new chair?
Not yet.
Okay, so again, hopefully I didn't put a damper on the process, but from my understanding of ad hoc committees, is there a subset from the commission? The ad hoc should come back and do the presentation to the committee, and then the full committee votes on how or agrees on how they want to move the ad hoc committee's suggestions forward. So I think it's imperative that you guys have a meeting and you allow all members to weigh in, and just weigh in is the best word I'm going to use rather than modify or correct or whatever. But at least they weigh in, and now you're unified as a body moving forward. I think that's a win for all commissions if they act that way with ad hoc committees.
Yeah, so again, I guess I'm just, I was surprised when I got here and found out the meeting had been moved to September 28th. When I had that conversation, when I was in Redondo Beach a couple weeks ago, it was that it was going to be in October, the joint meeting with you guys. So the fact that it's been moved up essentially 2 weeks, just.
Well, let me ask you a question. It sounds like we're really trying to fit a square hole in a peg circle, right? Like it feels like we're really, I mean, there may be an opportunity here to kind of flush some of this out, have a meeting with the full commission and walk through that agenda. If it's not next week, then you're missing the opportunity for the 28th potentially. I can certainly have a conversation with the city manager in terms of how that potentially gets shifted if it's not the 28th. And then I could bring that back as a blind copy in terms of how and what other dates are potentially open.
Okay. And again, I don't want to, I just want to emphasize what Gina said, that we are down to the, towards the end of this process. We're getting ready for it and making a presentation to the council. As she mentioned, we had 2 other meetings that we had scheduled. So, you know, but I don't want to put words in Gina or Craig's mouth because they are the ones that have done it. But, you know, if something's important for you, you get it done. And with these 3 individuals, I'm sure that we can get it done and make it happen because it is important to us. But again, you know, moving it up 2 weeks with this notice is just a little bit.
And I could also take a look at the calendar after this meeting and see what dates are available for next week and what times.
Okay.
I think the question that I would have for the full commission is whether or not they typically meet at 5 o'clock. Could we meet earlier in the day? Is that a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, I'm home. So what we will do after this committee is, as suggested, Gina and Craig and I will get on the phone and talk, and figure out where we were and when we could be ready for a special meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to serve as a presentation to them, a sounding board to them, kind of filter to them, and in preparation for going before the council in a manner in which Randy suggested. So I think we're all just, 2 out of 3 of us are hesitant in not talking with a third very key and very important person. Does that sound correct, Commissioner
Yes.
McCatton?
That sounds correct.
And again, the purpose in going to the council wasn't necessarily to say, well, you know, or for the HBC to make a motion, okay, we're going to do a special downtown district. We're making the recommendation of the city council that we do a downtown historic district, council make a vote. It's just to run by all of the work that has been taking place. I mean, the spreadsheet that Gina has that has this information in it is massive and complete. It meets all of the wonderful words that Randy said about the HBC. It meets those goals. And so it's not that we're disorganized in any way. We're just got a bit of a squeeze right here at the end. So again, the 3 of us will talk and come back with a recommendation.
And that makes sense. Like I said before, I can certainly have a follow-up conversation with the city manager to make sure that even the dates in October haven't been pushed in terms of the joint meetings that are going on with those other commissions.
Okay.
So
Are they still moving around? So the dates are still kind of moving a little bit.
they are a little bit. I mean, that was the reason that the 14th was adjusted.
Yeah. Okay. We okay?
Yeah, I'm
Move
okay.
forward?
You okay?
Great discussion. Thank you,
Now, are
everyone.
you okay?
Who?
No.
And thank you, Councilman Haney, for your all of your input. I think we can hit everything of your suggestions except for getting that buy-in with the community first. You know, we didn't want to put the the buggy in front of the horse. We wanted to talk to all of you first. But besides that, I think we could really understand the criteria. We can work on the understanding what regulations they'll be under. All of your thoughts seem to fall right in line, except for that one. So thank you.
That's why, to me, the commissions act independent of council. You five get to set your agenda. You get to set how you want to go about this. And again, I'll speak for all the council. We trust you. That's why you were chosen. So do what you need to do.
Well, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Haney, and we're very happy you're here. Okay, are we on number 9? Okay, future agenda items. You can see
Yeah, so for the 28th, which is the Tuesday, obviously, that's that joint meeting with City Council at 6 p.m. And then we have the regularly scheduled October 14th meeting. That's the Preservation Award adoption with the resolution, with the information that's been folded in from tonight's meeting. And then that would then be forwarded on to City Council for ratification. And those are the items that we have right now. There's the possibility of other items that we're working on right now.
okay,
So,
yes, there are.
and obviously Ojai Day on the 16th.
I have a question about the El Robler Hotel. Was there any decision at the Planning Commission about a historic report or anything? I didn't watch the meeting. Would
No,
that
the
be
item was
something
actually,
that we'd be looking
yeah, it was
at?
continued date specific to October
okay.
6th. There was too many items that needed to be addressed before we could come to the full
Okay,
commission.
so we don't have to put that on, we don't have to think about that for our point of view.
Well, at least until the 6th,
Okay.
when it comes back to Planning Commission.
Okay, we'll jump back to the agenda at the front. Okay, 9, so I guess that might have been our planning report just there.
That would be my planning report. Additionally, in terms of this special meeting, I think tomorrow I know the three of you are going to get together and have that conversation about dates. I'll also look at the agenda and say, hey, the calendar looks like X, Y, and Z. Just be aware. If you've got some time, some space that's available, let's start figuring out what dates work so we can get that moving forward.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else on planning report?
That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Comrie, or Vice Chair Comrie, you had something that we were going to talk about?
Did I have a comment? I made so many comments tonight. I don't know if I have any more comments left. But actually what I was thinking, because we didn't have a joint session last year because of COVID. I mean, if we had it, I don't know where I
We did
was.
not.
We did not. And the one before that, I remember discussing preservation on a certain level, and I felt like a couple of the council members weren't really hadn't had a lot of experience with what preservation is, what it means, what placemaking is, and, just setting the stage for why you would want a historic district. So I just want to talk about, before our special meeting that we're going to maybe have, if everything goes well, maybe there should be a bullet point presentation to the city council about what is preservation, how does it benefit community, how does Ojai move forward into the future and maintain its character, what does Main Street USA really mean to the heart of a town, just these bullet points and about what's happening in other towns around the country. And I know you guys know that I'm with the National Trust for Historic Preservation, so I get a lot of information about other towns and what they're doing and how they navigate these issues. And I think for the council to really more deeply understand the historic core presentation, there needs to be just some education up front about what preservation really is. Because a lot of people think it's about, I can't paint my window trim blue, or I can't do something. And it's not about what you can't do. It's bigger than that. So I would like to offer that a short presentation at the joint meeting about just the general overview of what preservation is and how it maintains the integrity and the value of a place. With the long-term investment, how valuable that long-term investment really is. So if that's okay with all of you. And I only brought it up now because I can only talk to you all when we're all in a meeting. We can't talk separately. So if you're all thinking that might be a good idea, I can write something up to have at our alleged special meeting that we don't have yet, or whenever we have our next meeting. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Well-
Yes, it sounds great. I think when you were back on the ad hoc, when we had 7 members,
Yeah.
you said something that I jotted down and I kept it in my book this whole time. And you said, keep Ojai valuable. And I really kind of kept that in my head because I thought that was a really good way of thinking about it. It's not whether you move forward or backwards. It's weaving our history and our story, and by doing that, and it's that keeping it valuable. And I don't know, it hit me, and I just love that line. I just want to make it into a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I guess my concern, if you're suggesting that we put that in this next special joint meeting with the city council, in what sometimes seems like an hour is a long time, goes very, very quickly, and we have the priority of talking with them about the downtown historic district. And so my question I'm just not sure that we have the time to do that in the same meeting.
Let me try it at our pre-meeting, our practice meeting, and try to make something very direct and simple. This is what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just to get people's minds into the subject, because it really is a unique subject, and it's an education.
Oh, I think it's a great topic. I think it would be beneficial for us as well as for the council.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I know we're limited, and I know the city council's got a lot of stuff coming at it all the time, right, Randy? So I would like to just keep it as clean as possible, but to get that mindset about what the ultimate goal is. It's not about creating a historic downtown, it's about the bigger picture. And I want to paint the bigger picture a little bit.
It is a component of the
Yeah.
bigger picture. Yes. Okay. Other commissioner comments? Okay, we will. City Council Liaison,
Oh,
Councilman Haney.
sure. Let me chime in. So, first of all, I need to apologize. I was in Ventura fixing a leak. So I was obviously running very, very late. Thank you all for the time and the additional time that you put in. I think it's important we recognize you're not being paid, you're donating your time. And we all recognize how valuable that is. So thank you. Cindy, I think your idea, because I'm a big fan of always more information is better. Maybe what you might want to do is write your list up and present it in our packet as coming from the commission. That's one thought. The other thought is if you do have your special session, present it in the first 5 minutes and see if you can do it in 5 minutes. And then the other part of that is I would think on your special session, you're going to review all the information that's going to be presented to council, and then you're going to weigh in. So I think it might be longer than an hour. I'm not sure how long your presentation is, but think of whatever the time it takes to present, you're going to have to double it to let council weigh in as well. Remember, it's an interactive meeting, as well as yourselves, because someone from council may ask a question or make a statement, and you may have to, Cindy does this, Brian does this, you may have to clarify it for us, because as educated as we are, you're more educated. So good luck, and it's in Lucas's hands. No pressure.
Great. Again, thank you,
Thank
Randy, for
you.
being here.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, anything else? Lucas, anything else? Cheryl, anything else? Okay, then we're done.
Bye.
Got a lot of stuff done. That's great. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I can sign the form for Cheryl. She's very proactive.